Hi, my name's Laura, and I'm going to read to you from The Hero's Guide to Saving Your Kingdom by Christopher Healy. Today we are reading Chapter 4, Prince Charming Loses Some Fans. Liam never doubted he was a hero. If anything, he was a little too sure of it. You can't really blame him, though. People have been treating him like a demigod ever since he was a young child. The adulation began shortly after the birth of Princess Briar-Rose, the daughter of the King and Queen of Avondale. In a rare instance of international communication, they announced they were looking for a suitable prince to whom she could be engaged. When the princess came of age, she would marry the prince, forever joining her kingdom with his. As it so happened, the kingdom of Avondale sat upon a seemingly endless chain of gold mines. Whichever nation managed to hook up with Avondale would become super rich. Gareth, the king of Orinthia, which sat just across the border and therefore just out of reach of Avondale's gold, wanted in on that. The treasure-hungry king, Gareth, suggested his then 3-year-old son, Liam, as a worthy future husband for Princess Briar. Unfortunately, lots of other countries were itching for a shot at Avondale's gold as well, and the competition for Briar-Rose's tiny princess hand was fierce. Little princes from around the world lined up to present themselves before the royal couple of Avondale, and each seemed to have a special skill. There was a tap-dancing toddler from Valerium, and a baby from Svenlandia whose parents claimed he could speak Dolphin, which seems unlikely, but what do I know? This is a fairy tale. A 4-year-old from Jangelheim absolutely rocked on the flugelhorn, and a 5-year-old prince from Sturmhagen, one of Gustav's brothers, demonstrated his ability to kick a chicken 40 yards. I mean, that poor chicken. That's a long way to go. Afraid that little Liam wouldn't stand out in the crowd, his father resorted to trickery. Just as Liam toddled out in front of the king and queen of Avondale, 2 masked assassins burst into the throne room. They were actually actors, hired by Gareth, and each wore a cinnamon stick, young Liam's favorite treat, tied around his boot. The 2 assassins positioned themselves between the preschool prince and the royal couple, and as soon as Liam excitedly grabbed the cinnamon sticks on their legs, the actors proved how good they were at their craft. As the boy pulled and tugged at the sweets, the actors flipped themselves around and howled in pain. They spun, flipped, and smashed into each other. To the rulers of Avondale, it looked as if the 3-year-old was beating the 2 grown men senseless. When the royal guards reached the scene of the fight, young little Liam was standing over 2 seemingly unconscious assassins, slurping happily on a cinnamon stick. Sounds pretty impressive, really. After that, there was no question as to which prince would be selected to wed Briar-Rose. The king of Orinthia took his son home in triumph. The boy was treated to awards, parades, and festivals held in his honor. The 2 actors, by the way, were unable to prove their innocence and were locked away in an Avondalian dungeon for life. But King Gareth didn't worry about that. He was going to be rich. Well, richer. He already was a king. Just put some headphones on. I'm in a different place than I usually do my filming, and the sound's not quite as good. So hopefully I'm a little bit clearer now. Where were we? Okay. Young Prince Liam thrived on all the attention, though he was unsure exactly why he was getting it. "Why does everybody love me so much?" he asked his father. King Gareth didn't want to tell his son the truth, that, for the most part, the people of Orinthia were as greedy as their king was, and they cherished Liam because they knew he would someday make their nation unbelievably wealthy by marrying into the Avondale fortune. Instead, he told his son, "Because you're a hero." That was all Liam needed to hear. From that point on, he devoted himself to being a one-man army, on call to rescue anyone in need. And he was really good at it. He had strength, courage, agility, and natural skill with a sword. He even looked the part, tall and lean, with caramel-toned skin, bright green eyes, and lustrous black hair that appeared permanently windswept. Here's what a typical day for Liam might be like. Breakfast, foil a burglary. Lunch, rescue lost children from ferocious wolves. Serve as a guest of honor at ribbon-cutting ceremony for new blacksmith shop. Dinner, carry frail grandmother from burning building, healthy snack, bed. It's a busy day. Of course, Liam never realized that it was all unnecessary, that he could have lolled about in a hammock all day, sipping juice from a coconut, and his people still would have idolized him, which was fortunate, because Liam's reputation as a hero meant everything to him. The one time Liam wasn't around to stop a crime, when the legendary Sword of Arinthia, a priceless heirloom, was stolen from its display case at the Royal Museum, he prepared himself for the worst. He assumed the unending stream of praise and admiration would quickly dry up, so he gathered the citizenry to apologize to them all publicly. He was shocked to see that people arrived carrying signs that read, "We heart Liam." Somebody had even carved a butter sculpture of him. Seriously, they didn't care about the heroics. At least, they didn't until the Sleeping Beauty incident. If Liam hadn't come to the rescue there, the royal wedding would have been at risk. When an evil fairy put Princess Briar-Rose and all of the people of Avondale under a spell that would have kept them asleep for 100 years, you'd better believe the people of Arinthia wanted Liam to head over there and save the day, which he did, of course. Liam tracked down the bad fairy, snuck up on her, and held her by her wings until she revealed that kissing Briar-Rose would break the curse. Once he had the information he needed, Liam nobly released his foe. The fairy repaid this kindness by transforming herself into an enormous, toothy demon and trying to bite Liam's head off. Not a very nice way to act at all. After a long, drawn-out battle featuring backflips, body slams, karate chops, and even a few good horse kicks, he won the day by running the fairy beast through with his sword. One quick peck on the lips later, and Briar-Rose and her entire kingdom were eyes open and celebrating. The weeks that followed were among the happiest in Liam's life. He was treated to parties and processions in both kingdoms, and a seemingly endless stream of awards and gifts. The only sore spot came when minstrels began spreading the tale of Sleeping Beauty far and wide. Liam had never been much of a fan of Arinthia's royal songsmith, Tyrese the Tuneful. The man seemed too obsessed with singing about the bad guys. The Ballad of the Bandit King, The Giant Goes a-Smashing, The Bandit King Rides Again, to bother writing songs about any of Liam's heroic exploits. And now he finally had written one, he managed to leave Liam's name out of the story entirely. The prince was seriously irked. That means he was annoyed, but took solace in all the adoration he got from his hometown crowd. After the hullabaloo, super fun word, hullabaloo, big mess, din, confusion, lots of excitement. Once that all died down, it occurred to Liam that he had never really spoken to Briar-Rose other than to say, "Good morning, consider yourself rescued." He was curious to know more about her. So he did something extremely rare. He sent her a note. Even more shocking, he suggested they meet in person. Two people from different kingdoms who are engaged to be married, seen and talking to each other. Crazy, I know. Liam sent a message suggesting that he and Briar meet in the Avondalian Royal Gardens and spend some getting-to-know-you time together. He was surprised when the princess's reply came back reading, "What's to learn? I know your name. I know where you live. Just be there on the wedding day." Liam decided to try again. His messenger returned to Avondale with a new note, in which Liam eloquently and passionately explained why it was so important to him and Briar to truly know and understand each other before they got married. This time the response was slightly more positive. Whatever. And so they met. Back when Liam had first seen the sleeping Briar-Rose, he thought she was indeed a beauty, which made the kissing part somewhat easier. With pale white cheeks and thick auburn curls that surrounded her head like an enormous poofy halo, the princess had appeared sweet and soft, almost angelic. But as Liam walked into the rose garden that day and saw Briar standing with her hands on her hips, her brows arched and her lips twisted into a tight knot, he was taken aback. Something seemed much harsher about her. Liam tried to overlook it and approached her with a gentlemanly bow. "Thanks for meeting with me," he said. "With the wedding only a few days away, I'm looking forward to getting to know the real you." Catching him completely off guard, Briar put both hands against his chest and pushed him down onto a nearby bench. "Listen up, hero," she barked. "Don't think that just because you offed some witch, you can take charge here." "She was a fairy, not a witch," he said, stunned by Briar's forcefulness. "And I'm not sure what you're upset about." "I know you've got a pretty high opinion of yourself," Briar said, "but that's not going to fly with me. My parents raised me to be a proper princess. That means I get what I want when I want it. In this marriage, you work for me. Liam was flabbergasted. That means super confused and surprised. I work for the people, he said. I offer my services wherever I'm needed. The people? Ha! Briar snorted, whipping her impressive mane of curly hair. The people are here to shine my tiaras and cook my puddings. I had to spend my entire childhood in hiding because of that stupid witch. Fairy, Liam interrupted. And now that I'm finally in my rightful place, I'm going to start living like the princess I was meant to be. If I want entertainment, someone will dance for me. If I'm thirsty, someone will give me their jug of water. If I want a cake, someone will use their last ounce of flour to bake me one. Watch this. Briar reached down and messily yanked handfuls of rare orchids out of their flower beds. She crumpled the priceless blooms between her fingers and threw the broken stems and petals down onto the cobblestone path. You know who's going to travel to the farthest reaches of Compai and fight off venomous snakes in order to find new orchids for me? She asked with a wicked grin. The people. Briar strolled up to Liam and flicked a loose flower petal into his face. What's the matter, hubby? Speechless? Don't call me hubby, Liam said with a note of disgust. Even with all the monster battles he'd fought and death traps he'd escaped, this conversation was the single most unnerving experience he'd ever had. You know, I'm not sure I want to marry you, he said. Why not? Because you're mean. Wah, wah, she fake cried. Get a backbone, hero. Please tell me this is some sort of joke. You wanted the real me. You got it. Briar Rose doesn't censor herself for anyone. Then there's no point to any of this, Liam said sadly. I can never love someone like you. That's where you're wrong, puppy. It's common knowledge that I'm your true love. According to whom? Liam exclaimed. The evil fairy who tried to kill us all? She's the one who said true love's kiss would break the spell. But she also turned into a monster and tried to eat me. We're supposed to take her word for it? Blah, 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 Briar mocked, opening and closing her hand like a puppet's mouth. You and I are still getting married. Our parents arranged this years ago. And you're a real catch. You're well-liked, you come from a respected family, and you're not too hard on the eyes. You're just the kind of guy I want sitting on a throne next to me to make the people feel safe and unthreatened before I, turn their lives into nightmares. I'll never go along with this, Liam insisted. It's not like you have much of a choice in the matter. Face it, you're stuck with me, Prince Charming. Briar poked a finger into his chest with every syllable of Prince Charming, and then sat down on a bench across from Liam and kicked her feet up into a bird bath, knocking away a frightened wren as she did. Now go peel me some kumquats. Liam walked away without a word, got on his horse, and headed back to Arinthia, where he gave word that he would be addressing the people that afternoon. The citizens of Arinthia gathered by the thousands outside the royal palace, all eyes on the gold-trimmed marble balcony overhead, from which their prince would soon be addressing them. Applause broke out as a set of stained glass doors opened wide, and Liam strode out to greet the crowd. He wore a billowy blue tunic with black pants tucked into brown leather boots. There was a sword at his side and a wine-colored cape fluttering behind him in the breeze. Before he spoke, Liam took a moment to gaze on the wildly enthusiastic crowd below. Who needs a wife, he thought, when I've got all these devoted fans? Liam's mother and father, Queen Gertrude and King Gareth, stepped out on the balcony behind him. They were followed by Liam's 12-year-old sister, Princess Lila, who ran up and gave Liam a quick smooch on the cheek before retreating to the back of the balcony. Lila, who wore her chestnut hair and loose, dangly ringlets and liked to roll up the sleeves on the elegant gowns her parents forced her to wear, might have been young, but she was Liam's closest confidant, and the only person in Arinthia who appreciated Liam for his good deeds. Yet even she didn't know why Liam had scheduled this appearance. The king tapped Liam on the shoulder. We are all excited to hear your big announcement, Gareth said, hoping that Liam had decided to honeymoon in Valerium as he and the queen had suggested. The lobster rolls were so good there that time of year. I wanted to have Tyrese here to record it all, but no one seems to know where he is at the moment. Don't worry about the bard, Father, Liam said. I'll make this quick. He faced the crowd. People of Arinthia, the prince said. The din of voices below hushed. Thank you for coming out today, and thank you for all the kindness you have shown me and my family. He gestured to his parents, and the crowd erupted into applause again. As soon as the noise died down, Liam continued. I've got important news about the royal wedding. Will there be cheesecake? Someone shouted. No, I'm sorry, no cheesecake. Actually, will you be taking your vows in a hot air balloon? Someone shouted out. No, of course not. Why would anyone do that? So, about the wedding, will there be little sausages on toothpicks and a choice of dipping sauce? Another voice called out. No. What about that cheesecake? I already said there'd be no cheesecake. Look, people, please let me. But will you ride up the aisle on a unicorn? There's not going to be any wedding, the prince blurted out. The entire crowd gasped in near unison, as did the king and queen. I'm sorry, but that's what I've called you all here to tell you. The wedding is off. Princess Briar-Rose and I have discussed the matter, and we've decided we're better off just as friends. No matter how much he disliked Briar, he didn't want to badmouth her to his people. As the citizenry murmured with agitation, the king skittered forward next to his son and addressed the crowd. Ha ha! Oh, that Liam! Your prince is just joshing us all. No, father, I'm not, said Liam. I'm serious. I told you he'd eventually ruin everything, Queen Gertrude griped bitterly. He was always too much of a goody two-shoes. Listen, said Liam, Briar and I just aren't right for each other. But you love her, the king shouted, his thick mustache fluttering as he spoke. No, I don't, Liam said plainly. You kissed her and broke the spell, the queen insisted. True love's kiss. I don't think that's how it worked, Liam said with a sigh. I think anybody's kiss would have woken her. Besides, how could I love somebody I'd never met before? Because that's just the way things work, the king thundered. You are marrying Briar-Rose. It has been written. By you, Liam said, beginning to get angry as his parents. You decided everything when I was 3 years old. Did anybody ask me who I wanted to marry? You don't get a choice, Gertrude snapped. Look, father, mother, Liam whispered, have you spent time with her? She is not a nice person. Do you think I care about that? Gareth growled. Her family is rich beyond imagination. Liam was startled by his father's greedy admission. He leaned over the balcony railing and yelled out, Sorry, people, no wedding. Before he knew it, the crowd was booing as loudly as they'd been cheering only a minute earlier. Shouts of, Our hero! Were replaced by jeers of, Traitor! Liam had never known the people of Arinthia to be unhappy with him. It was like having a tank full of beloved pet goldfish suddenly turn into angry piranhas. He was confused and a bit frightened. You should be ashamed of yourself, one woman cried. Some prince you are, yelled one man. I want a cheesecake, wailed another. Liam called down, People, trust me, I am still the same hero you've always known, am I not? No, someone called out and threw a shoe at the prince. Soon other objects, canes, rocks, sandwiches, started hurtling up towards the balcony. Unbelievable, Liam muttered. It's a riot. A tomato smashed into King Gareth's face, leaving a splatter of red pulp in his wiry mustache. Gertrude struggled to wipe the mess from her husband's ample facial hair. Don't hit us, she scolded the angry crowd. We want him to get married. Gertrude caught a stale dinner roll that was flying at her and hurled it back into the mob. Quick, come inside. It was Liam's sister. She grabbed him by the hand and pulled him inside the palace. Lila, do you know what's going on? He asked as the princess shut the ornate glass doors behind them. I could always tell our parents were excited about Avendel's riches, but I still assumed. Apparently the money is the only thing Mom and Dad care about, she said. I guess the same goes for all those people out there, too. I know they've been looking forward to a royal wedding for ages now, but yikes. I expected disappointment, said Liam, but for them to turn on me like this. Look, as soon as things calm down, I'll speak to everyone and try to smooth this out, Lila said. Lila, please don't take this the wrong way, Liam said, but you're 12. I know, Lila said slyly, which means I can hit my awkward phase at any moment. But right now, I've still got that cute kid thing going for me. It's great for winning people over. Believe me, it's the only reason I still wear my hair in these annoying ringlets that Mom likes. Anyway, look, I'll remind those people out there of all the amazing things you've done over the years. You've always been my hero. I'll make sure you're theirs again, too. Liam had never felt closer to his sister than in that moment. You might have a lot of work cut out for you, Liam said. And what about Mom and Dad? I really think they're going to try to force me to marry Briar-Rose against my will. I'll take care of them too, Lila said. Don't ask me how yet, because I'm not sure. I guess I've got to convince them that it would be worse to lose their son than to lose oodles and oodles of gold. It might take a while. In the meantime, you should take a vacation. Vacation? Where? Outside the kingdom. Everybody in Arinthia seems pretty steamed at you right now, so go someplace where the people only know you from the Sleeping Beauty story. Ha, that story. No one outside of Arinthia even realizes I'm the hero in that story. It doesn't mention my name. That's exactly what I mean, Lila said. You can just be Prince Charming for a while. Everybody loves Prince Charming. Go bask in that glory. What glory? Prince Charming isn't a hero, Liam groused. The only thing anybody thinks Prince Charming ever did is kiss a girl and wake her up. I deserve credit for a lot more than that. Better to be loved for something lame than to be hated for no good reason, right? Lila said. Liam contemplated his sister's advice. Lila was just a kid, but she was crafty. She had gotten herself into and out of all sorts of scrapes in the past, and there was definitely a logic to her plan. Liam's thought process was interrupted by a sudden bang as a roasted turkey crashed through the door, sending shards of glass and loose stuffing across the embroidered carpet. Someone out there has a very strong arm, Liam said. His sister pushed him towards a stairwell that led down to the palace cellars, and the two shared a quick embrace. People will love you again. Don't worry, she said. Now, sneak out through the cook's delivery entrance. I need to go rescue our greedy parents. She left Liam on the top step and rushed back towards the balcony. Thank you, sis, Liam called. As he started down the stairs, he heard the princess yelling at the crowd of riders outside. All right, who threw the bird? Liam quietly sneaked through the cellars and into the royal stables. Since nearly everyone in the kingdom was out front by the balcony, there were no grooms or stable boys around to see him hop up onto his black stallion and take off through the palace yard's back gates. It's the end of the chapter. Next chapter, Prince Charming is the worst person in the world. Chapter 5. Sounds pretty interesting. That's what we'll be reading next week. Again, this is The Hero's Guide to Saving Your Kingdom by Christopher Healy. And if you are interested, you can find it on Cloud Library as both an ebook and an audiobook. There's also other books in this series, and there's some other titles by Christopher Healy that you could check out if you thought this one was good, which it is. So you should see if there's more that you might want to read next. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.